Plaintiff Al Robinson says after paying $3,000 for a French bulldog, he hired the defendant to train the pup. Al claims the dog stayed with the defendant for 2 weeks, but she failed to teach her basic commands, so he's suing for breach of contract. Defendant Miranda Uri says she's been a certified professional dog trainer for 2 years, and she agreed to work with Al's dog for 14 days. Miranda insists she trained Al's dog and therefore owes him nothing.
Start with you.
I purchased a puppy, a French bulldog, paid $3,000 for the dog. A friend of mine at work also purchased a bulldog kind of around the same time. So when we come to work, we'll discuss our pups, saying that he was having a lot of issues with his dog, using the bathroom in the cage and not listening and crying at night. I'm like, well, my dog do pretty good. So I wanted to go to a dog trainer because since I paid so much for the dog, I wanted to get the dog trained to the best of its ability. So I went to one dog trainer. I had put down a $300 deposit. And I was kind of thinking about it. They wanted me to bring the dog back after 6 months because I guess they respond better at 6 months. I'm not sure. So when I was thinking about it, I didn't want to have the dog with the shock collar around the neck, and that's what that trainer did. So when I was speaking with the guy at work, he was saying that his wife found a trainer, which was Miranda, said she was a dog whisperer, said she did very good with their dog. He said when his dog came back, he had no problems out of the dog, and the dog was only going for 2 days. Say she taught the dog how to hit the bell and go outside and use the bathroom and this, that, and the other. And my dog was having accidents in the house. It was getting to a point where my wife ready to kick me and the dog out of the house. So she like, if the dog used the restroom in here again. So I called Miranda, I spoke with her, we discussed it. I told her I put the deposit down at the other dog trainer. And I was like, but I want to bring her to you. She was very nice over the phone. And I was like, but I gave them a deposit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the $300 to the other dog trainer, at least let them kind of give her like the sick commands, the basic commands, things like that. She was like, no, don't do that. She was like, just bring her to me and whatever package that you choose that's over $1,000, I'll take the $300 off. I said, okay, cool. That sounds like good customer service to me. So when I called, I told her I'm bringing the dog. I chose the package. It was like $1,320 or something like that. Brought the dog to her. She took the $300 off. She sent me this contract. I signed the contract. So when I brought the dog to her, I left out. She said, I'm gonna send you videos and pictures and updates of the dog and things of that nature. I said, okay, cool. Went on about my business. 2 weeks went by. It's time to go pick up the dog. When I go pick up the dog, I walk in, I bring my 2 daughters. Because
sorry, one more thing. She called on a Friday.
Step up.
Okay.
State your name.
My name is Keonga Robinson.
What do you want to tell me?
I just want to say she called on a Friday. She called earlier than it was time to pick up the dog.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. She called on a Friday. She said, can you pick up the dog tomorrow? So I'm thinking like, well, no, we got until Sunday. She was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So Sunday, I bring my 2 daughters with me because I want my whole family to be on the same page with the command. So I won't be telling the dog one thing and then my kids and my wife telling the dog something totally different. And my kids are usually there more than me with the dog. So as soon as I walked through the door, I had my wife on FaceTime on the iPhone. As soon as I walked through the door, the dog ran up to me and then ran and jumped on the couch. So I'm sitting back, I'm kind of looking like, hold on, what's going on? I paid you for 2 weeks. Even if the dog know me, you're a professional dog trainer, you should still have that under control.
She giving the dog basic commands. The dog is just looking at her like,
As soon as I walked through the door, the dog ran up to me and then ran and jumped on the couch. So I'm sitting back, I'm kind of looking like, hold on, what's going on? I paid you for 2 weeks. Even if the dog know me, you're a professional dog trainer, you should still have that under control.
Defendant Miranda Uri was hired to train the plaintiff's dog, but the plaintiff claims Miranda failed to properly train the pup, so he's suing to get his money back.
What did you all say to her?
Well, I was like, what did you do to train? She was like, well, the dog is kind of excited right now. So once she kind of calmed down, she'll do what she's supposed to do. So we sat there for a minute. I sat down and
I'm on FaceTime.
She's-
Like, what do you mean? My kids hang me up because I'm ready to go
So at
off.
the end of that discussion, what
So
happened?
she gave the dog like 1 command, 2 commands, something like that. It took her a moment to even get the dog to do the
Did
things.
the dog
that
ever obey anything?
Yes, he did. After a
So
while.
what's the problem?
Well, the problem was
The
if
dog obeyed.
the dog obeyed after.
she said it 10, 11 times. It didn't obey
$1,000
$1,000 worth of obey. For
Okay.
$1,000.
Hold on. And it hasn't obeyed since?
No.
No.
Not at
So
all.
that was
And
just a
he on
temporary.
his way
Hold
out
on,
with the
ma'am.
dog. Okay.
Have a seat, by the
Okay.
way. You're just a witness.
Okay.
So the dog only obeyed temporarily that day.
It didn't even really obey temporarily. It was a moment. She didn't even.
That's temporary.
Okay. That's not $1,000 a temporary.
Okay. Let me get some background from her.
So I've been dog training professionally for about 2 years. I'm certified through Animal Behavioral College. A really great client of mine recommended me to them. When we talked, he said that he had taken them to another facility that had promised a perfect dog in 30 days, but that he had found out that they possibly used shock collars and he wasn't sure that that was what he wanted to do. I do all reward-based training, so I'm very against, the adverse methods, shock collars, things like that. So I was like, just bring her to me. I'll give you the money off, so that way I don't have to undo anything that they do. He wanted to do 30 days. I told him that was unrealistic, bringing a dog into my house, because I can train them for me, but I said that I would only do up to 14 days, because with the 14 days, he gets 2 follow-up sessions.
Okay. And
that's
so
where
fast forward to when you completed those 14 days.
Yes. So when they came to pick her up, it's very common for dogs to be excited. They see their people,
Sure
they're
is.
excited. But then as they started to get a little more hostile, the dog started
Hostile toward?
are you sure she's trained?
Okay.
Kind of just like every time I'd show them something, they just weren't impressed. So the dog started picking up on that and started avoiding them and avoiding the room. So I showed them all of the commands that we did. I also gave them a full breakdown.
No. You only showed
Sorry,
2
let her
commands.
finish.
Okay.
She never said a word while you were talking.
Okay.
You and your wife just kept jumping up and down, and she didn't say a word. Go ahead.
Thank you. So I gave them a breakdown of how to do every command that I had taught her and a strict potty schedule.
Did you demonstrate it?
I did. I demonstrated all of the behaviors. Sit, down, stay.
What did the dog fail to do, if anything?
She did it. It wasn't like automatic, like robot. And I spoke with him about that because
Did the dog fail to obey any of the commands?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so the end of the session, what was said?
He was a little bit concerned. He said, if I take this dog home and she doesn't behave, my wife's going to be really upset.
What made him concerned about that?
At the end.
I know, why? Why would a person be
'cause-
concerned about that if you're delivering them a dog that's been trained? Why would he say, my wife's gonna be upset if the dog's not really trained when you just showed him?
His expectations were unrealistic. 'Cause
Well,
she
I
was
thought you delivered everything that he had requested that the dog be trained for, and you demonstrated it right in front of him.
She responded to me, but when I believe it was one of his daughters tried to get her to do a sit, she didn't. But she was responding for me. And that's what those private follow-up sessions are for, is to teach them how to
Okay,
do it.
now let's stick with this session. Let's stick with the delivery. So now you're telling me that the dog didn't follow all the commands, followed all your commands.
Yes, she wasn't asking for the command correctly.
Okay. And so did you tell them how to ask? And it worked immediately?
She stopped trying at that point.
Stop trying. She only had to do it one time. If you say this is how you do it, and if the dog is trained as you said, so, ma'am, you're just not making sense of why the dog obeyed your commands, and he walked out dissatisfied.
He asked me if she was trained enough for his wife to be satisfied, and I spoke with him about
Did you
expectations.
say yes or no?
I spoke about expectations. I told him that she wasn't going to be a robot because I don't train robots. And he said that he wanted a robot for the price that he paid.
Okay, all right. And so you told him what? This dog
told him
won't be that.
Right.
And he got upset and he just left and said,
He didn't-
okay, no problem. What did he say
He
when he
said,
left?
okay, we'll see with the private sessions, because we had follow-up private sessions to do.
Okay, and what happened there?
So they came back to my house that night after texting me and calling me all day. It was the day before Christmas, and so I was not answering business calls. I have audio of them showing up at my house at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Saying what?
That the dog wasn't trained. Sure, she's trained, you know,
Okay.
kind of just like every time I'd show them something, they just weren't impressed. So the dog started picking up on that and started avoiding them and avoiding the room. So I showed them all of the commands that we did. I also gave them a full breakdown.
No, you only showed
Sir,
the
let her
commands.
finish. She never said a word while you
Okay,
were
okay,
talking.
okay.
You and your wife just kept jumping up and down. And she didn't say a word.
Defendant Miranda Uri was hired to train the plaintiff's dog, but the plaintiff claims Miranda failed to properly train the pup, so he's suing to get his money back.
How did that conversation continue?
I have audio of it.
We have audio we can play?
Yes.
All right.
So
If
you
it
went
was-
to robbing people? Is that what you're
robbing
doing?
people. Come on, back.
If
Let's
it
go.
was something that was
Let's go.
serious,
Come on,
you
she
guys
robbing
could have
people.
texted me.
She's not following the commands. So why isn't she following the commands? You're telling me when you come these next 2 days that she's gonna follow the commands, then I'll feel good about my $1,000.
Oh,
Okay,
I
so
can't
we'll
tell you
see
that.
you on Wednesday, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, as long as them 2 sessions work, you good. If not, we're gonna have to take it to court. I'm just
That's
telling
fine.
you.
Okay, what happened on Wednesday?
So on Wednesday, we had really bad weather. So I texted them and let them know that we were going to have to reschedule. They didn't respond back about the session. All they responded back was that they wanted evidence that I had trained the dog. Because the file was too big, I was not able to send it, and I didn't have internet.
Couldn't send the file.
Right. And the way that they approached me,
Was there another date set?
no, they never responded back after that.
Okay. And you say the way they approached you,
The way
what?
they approached me at my house, I was terrified of them.
Sir? How long after the weather prohibited her from training the dog did she reach out to you? How many days, weeks later?
None. 0.
You say she never did. Do you have evidence that you text them to reschedule?
No, we didn't talk after that.
Why didn't you text to reschedule?
At that point, I just didn't think they were going to.
Okay, we're going to give them their money back then. You should have texted to reschedule. I'll grant you your judgment. Judgment for the plaintiff. She never followed up, and she said by that time, whatever the belief she had is not a legitimate defense. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff. All you're
Thank
doing
you.
is getting your money back.
No, I just want to say no hard feelings or anything like that. I think customer service is a big part of a business.
I'm just glad for $1,000 that we got our money back, because for $1,000, your dog shouldn't not have basic commands. And I'm just glad that he ruled the way he did.